Let's have a toast to this money.
There are programs in college football that rely on tradition. And then there's Oregon. For more than 2 decades, the Ducks have treated uniforms not as static symbols, but as a living system, something that evolves alongside the program itself. Oregon didn't just introduce new looks. They changed how uniforms function in college football, as identity, as innovation, and as a competitive tool. This is the story of how Oregon became the most influential uniform program in sports. Before Oregon became known for constant reinvention, the program looked much more like its peers. Green and yellow were already established. The duck imagery existed. The uniforms were conventional, regional, and largely unchanged year to year. At that point, Oregon wasn't trying to redefine college football aesthetics. They were simply a solid program with recognizable colors. What changed wasn't a desire to be flashy. It was an opportunity. As Nike's relationship with the university deepened, Oregon gained access to resources, design talent, and technical experimentation that very few programs could match. That access would reshape everything. Nike's involvement didn't immediately mean wild uniforms. It meant asking a more fundamental question. How should Oregon look consistently over time? ESPN's reporting on Oregon's uniform lifecycle describes this era as a structured design process, rather than random experimentation. Oregon and Nike weren't chasing trends. They were building a system that allowed for constant evolution without losing identity. The key insight was simple but powerful. If Oregon didn't have a century-old visual tradition to protect, it could create a new kind of tradition, one built on innovation itself. That idea became the foundation of everything that followed. The pivotal moment comes in late 1998. Oregon introduces the now iconic O logo alongside new uniforms and updated color standards ahead of the Aloha Bowl. This wasn't just branding, it was infrastructure. The O solved a major design problem. It was modern, flexible, and instantly recognizable. From that point forward, Oregon could change uniforms frequently without confusing the audience. The logo stayed constant, while everything around it could evolve. That single decision made long-term experimentation possible. In the early 2000s, Oregon began to establish a reputation as a modern program, both on the field and visually. Uniform updates became more deliberate. Helmets changed, silhouettes sharpened, details mattered. This era, often associated with players like Joey Harrington, is important because it showed how uniforms could reinforce momentum. As Oregon gained national relevance, the visuals helped separate the program from more traditional powers. Uniforms weren't just reflective of success. They were part of how Oregon announced itself. The late 2000s and early 2000s marked the acceleration phase. Oregon's on-field identity became fast, modern, and aggressive. The uniforms mirrored that shift. This is when Oregon's approach fully differentiated itself from the rest of college football. Multiple uniform combinations, bold helmet finishes, high-contrast designs that popped on television and in highlights. ESPN and other outlets have noted that this period effectively triggered a broader uniform arms race across college football. Oregon proved that constant change didn't weaken identity. It strengthened it. The Ducks weren't abandoning tradition. They were redefining it. Another key part of Oregon's success was timing. The most memorable uniform moments often appeared on the biggest stages: Rose Bowls, championship games, playoff appearances. Nike's Vapor Fusion technology, chrome and metallic helmet finishes, and carefully chosen colorways weren't just technical upgrades. They were narrative tools. Each major game became a visual chapter in the program's story. Over time, fans began to associate Oregon not just with winning, but with presentation. Oregon's uniforms worked because they followed a clear logic. First, innovation was consistent, not random. Second, design changes were supported by performance success. Third, the program embraced visibility rather than fearing it. ESPN has quoted Oregon insiders explaining that the program intentionally leaned away from traditionalism. choosing to differentiate instead of imitate. That choice influenced recruiting, media coverage, and how the sport itself began to think about visual identity. Uniforms became part of the competitive ecosystem. Today, Oregon's approach is more refined. The program still evolves, but the changes feel measured. New designs reference past eras. Generation O branding reinforces continuity rather than disruption. Oregon no longer needs shock value. The system is established. What began as experimentation has become legacy. Oregon didn't change college football uniforms by being louder than everyone else. They changed the game by treating uniforms as a living design language, one that could evolve without losing meaning. In a sport defined by repetition, Oregon chose reinvention and made it sustainable. The question now isn't whether Oregon has the best uniforms. It's whether any program has influenced the visual culture of football more.